Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragons and Dragons. Today I'm going to be trying to convince you why you or any of your friends and family should watch the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. I say franchise because I consider more than just the movies to be canon and part of this amazing story. I'm including the two spin-off shows, Race to the Edge and Defenders of Berk, as well as the two holiday specials and the relevant comics. The How to Train Your Dragon franchise has so much going for it, but I'm just going to be hitting the highlights in this video. Starting with point number one, the story. The How to Train Your Dragon trilogy and its extended media content is a coming-of-age story, above all else. You start in the first movie with young teenage Vikings around the age of 15, and you progress through the next 5 years of their life and 10 years of yours. For those of us who were watching the movies since they came out, we grew up alongside these characters. So the struggles that they evolved through and became more complicated as the movies continued also were similar to the struggles that we were facing in their everyday lives. I personally have been watching the movies as they came out since ages ago, when the first one came out just after 2010. I've loved them since the get-go. They've been some of my favorites, and I've gone to see the theater showings of How to Train Your Dragons 2 and 3 successively after I watched the first one in home video. The story, as I said, is overall a coming-of-age story. Growing up with the characters makes it way easier to relate to them, as well as the content maturing slightly and treating the audience as emotionally mature the more and more you continue. None of the content ever gets inappropriate, but just the emotional beats get more mature and they just hit harder. Aside from the coming-of-age story that spans the entire trilogy, each movie tells a story that expands the world and also increases the threat to our growingly more mature characters. The biggest difference in stories is probably between movies 1 and 2. This is because there is also a 5-year time jump. This makes sense for the plot and doesn't feel out of place or clunky at all. It is well set up and paid off, and it is obvious how much the directors and writers Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois put into these movies. They put so much heart in it, and it really comes through. Especially in our second point, the humour. The humour is pretty on point for most of the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, not just the movies here. I'm talking TV shows and extended content as well. With the maybe exception of the Dragon Riser Berk series, which was targeted at a younger audience. The amazing voice cast are also a big part of why this trilogy and the humour comes across so well. DreamWorks is known for having celebrity voice casts, and sometimes that being the main draw for their movies, less than the story, but this is not the case with this trilogy. The celebrity voice cast fit perfectly to the characters and just add to it so much. I cannot imagine anyone other than Jay Baruchel playing Hiccup. He is the perfect cast. The supporting cast are usually pretty good as well, especially America Ferrera's Astrid and Gerard Butler's Stoic. They all add unique takes and characters and personalities to the universe, and also all have their funny and humorous moments. The next point is probably the main draw for the younger audience and a lot of people, and also probably the main marketed side of the movies, which is the dragons in general. The dragons are amazing. They are well animated and well realized. It's obvious how much time went into researching the different real-life animals that would inspire these fictional creatures. They feel real, like they could just jump off the screen at you. They're also extremely cute, and each and every different dragon and species of dragon oozes a different type of character. It's immediately obvious what a dragon is thinking without ever using words. It's also extremely obvious in the bond of the two main characters, Hiccup and Toothless. This leads very well into our next category, the relationships. The two most prominent relationships over the course of the franchise are the relationships between Astrid and Hiccup and Toothless and Hiccup. It makes sense, Hiccup being the main character, that the two main relationships revolve around him. Let's start with Toothless and Hiccup. It is this relationship is the driving force behind the entire franchise. I'm not going to be getting into spoilers, but the way it evolves over the course of the movies feels so organic and such a real friendship. And it was also a perfect setup and payoff at the end of How to Train Your Dragon 3. Again, no spoilers, but it's one of my favourite parts of that movie is how that friendship comes to an end. It feels so organic, and it is such a part of real life, not just fictional dragons and Vikings. Leaving your friends and moving on is sad, but it's represented really well here, and it's one of the first times I've almost cried while watching a movie. It's been seeing the end of the friendship between Hiccup and Toothless. The other main relationship in the series is the romance between Hiccup and Astrid. This also, as well, feels extremely organic as to all the relationships in the series, but Hiccup and Astrid's is also at the forefront. They start as almost oppositions in the first movie, but then Astrid becomes Hiccup's strongest supporter throughout the series and then going into the second and third movies. Series, that's hard to say. Sorry, as I said, going into the second and third movies. They finally get married, again, minor spoilers, but I'm pretty sure this is in the trailer, at the end of the third movie. And it feels so earned. The chemistry between these two actors and their characters is very well displayed, extremely prominent, and again, it feels so real. It evolves organically from friends to close friends to maybe you think they're more than that. And they're just starting to realize how much they mean to each other. And it evolves like this, and it is so well done. Segueing from Astrid and Hiccup's relationship is the area in the franchise where maybe it gets the most development. The Netflix series Race to the Edge. Race to the Edge is a 7-season, 13-episode per season How to Train Your Dragon series. It is set 1 year before How to Train Your Dragon 2, and about 3 years after How to Train Your Dragon 1. It involves the gang, or Hiccup, Astrid, the dragons, and their friends going off in search for new lands and new dragons and the adventures they have along the way. It is probably where the side characters shine the most. The side characters are probably the worst part of the series. It's not let the twins, fish legs, get much more development and get much more fleshed out characters in this series. It's amazing how much about an episode or two a season focused on their characters can do for them. My biggest regret probably for the franchise that they didn't take the opportunity for is transferring over that character development to the films. But it makes sense considering the TV show development was slightly less under the control of the main movie developers. The Race to the Edge series, as well as improving all the relationships and characters and fleshing them out much more, also gave us some of the best villains.